Hey everyone, this is Sarah with SewingPartsOnline.com, and today we're going to be talking about the cording foot. We have a 3-hole cording foot and a 5-hole cording foot, and these things are really cool. They let us apply like decorative cording to our projects as well as elastic thread, which is really fun. I'll show you how to do that. But we can get even more creative with it. We can use yarns. We can put all of these through our cording foot, and I'll show you exactly how. All right, so we're going to be looking at 2 different cording pressure feet. This first one is for a maximum of up to 3 cords. You can see right here it has a little tiny little lever that you can kind of lift up. It's a little bit flexible so that you can get the cords into these tiny little grooves. When you flip it over, you'll see that you have more grooves in the back. After it's been stitched, this is where they guide through. It's an easy installation, simple snap-on. The other one, which is for up to 5 pieces of cording, these you kind of have to thread in through the hole, and then they go underneath the pressure foot and through the back. Simple snap-on as well, so let's go ahead and install. Take off the pressure foot that you have on. And just snap it on. The other 3-hole cording presser foot is the exact same method of installation. First, we're going to go ahead and look at the 3-hole cording foot. Now you can use really anything as cording as long as it fits through the little grooves, you're fine. So these are all just tiny pieces of yarn. So here, all I have to do to install it is pop it in. Back here, I'm holding the end of the string with my middle finger and my index finger. I'm bringing it up through where the needle hole is, and I just pop it in. Very simple. And then we can just put it on the shank. Once we have the cording through, I went ahead and knotted it in the back. It's just easier because they keep slipping and sliding all over the place. So it's just easier to manage if you make a little knot in the back, because you want to extend it past the foot a little bit anyways before you start sewing, so you can just cut it off later. Now, before we begin, make sure you have it on a zigzag stitch. Because I have 3, I'm going to use the zigzag stitch. It does like 3 stitches across the whole zigzag. It's pretty cool. So I'm also using a top stitching foot because it's going to be visible. So let's go ahead and get started. We can also just kind of try your best to keep it from tangling. It's kind of like reminds me of when you would make like braided bracelets and stuff. Just kind of keep the strands separated like that. You can make your zigzags further apart, so whatever preference you like. And to feed this, I actually have the cording strung over my shoulder just because I think it feeds nicely. So we're going to keep it all apart. And you can continue to sew. You can also use monofilament thread if you don't want the thread to show. Just make sure you're using a metallic needle. And let's go ahead and see what this looks like. Yeah, it's pretty nice. I like this. We widened it out a little bit over here. Back here was a little bit closer together. It's very decorative and it's very pretty and it looks very, very nice and neat, which is what we want. So right now we're going to go ahead and use a thicker cording. I'm going to put it right down the middle. Since this is so much thicker, I'm only going to do one at a time. Now if I wanted to add a smaller, well, a thinner cord through here, I could, but since this is so thick, it's best to not, I wouldn't fill it all the way up with similarly thick cord. So we can go ahead and pull it through. And sew right over it. Right now I'm using monofilament thread. You can see this would be a really great project for any kind of holiday decorating. It looks so cool, and this is, you know, just really cool metallic cording. And let's go ahead and see what it looks like. Very, very cool. And you can't really see the thread because it's the monofilament clear thread, so very cool. This time we're going to be using the 5-hole cording foot. Just as we had talked about when we were doing the installation, you just, you know, thread it through the hole. It's really simple. But with this time we're going to have 3 elastic threads and 2 plain, it's actually yarn, just 2 regular non-elastic threads. And in our needle we have some tinsel thread, which is pretty cool. So we're going to see how neat this looks. Also, while you're sewing this, make sure you are holding or pulling the elastic thread back like this. I also have this on a zigzag stitch. And let's go ahead and see how it looks. Oh, got a little stuck in there. So it looks very pretty. It's kind of like those sheer dresses. It has the elasticity. Once we put this underneath the iron, it's really going to shrink up. But it has the benefit of having the really pretty extra cord in there, the purple. So it's very nice and definitely something different. And go ahead and use those metallic threads because you can get a really cool look with that. As we were saying before, you can do some really fun stuff with anything you can find in like the yarn section. We have a big purple one over here and a furry little Grinch one over here. What it's going to do is going to take this kind of furry and kind of pull it all together. Try to keep all these little threads on this side while we're sewing and hold it like this. Now I only have 2 in, so make sure your zigzag is at it has the 2 spaces. So here we go. Oh, and I also still have the fun metallic thread in. Kind of look kind of cool. If you're having difficulty, try to remember that with metallic thread, you want to give it a lot of room for tension. So put your tension down. All right, let's go ahead and take a look. Pretty cool. I really like the way it looks. You can also kind of, if you want to, maybe get a pin and kind of pull the little furries out if you want that extra texture in there. So there we go. I like that. So this time we're going to use our cording to make to add some dimension to our project. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover this cord up entirely with some similar color thread. So I'll be using a metallic, it's like a tinsel thread in my needle, and I'm going to use a satin stitch and try to cover it up the best as I can. And this would be really great to go around some applique or to slip into some pin tucks or something like that, just to give it that like a little extra bump look. And you could do like swirls or hearts or anything, and it looks really cool because it adds a really, really neat dimension look. So let's go ahead and see what this looks like. really shiny. And if this was to go around, you know, any kind of center object of your piece, like maybe a heart or a star or something, look really cool. And it does pop up a little bit, which is neat. So that was the cording foot. To purchase your 3-hole or 5-hole cording foot, visit us online at sewingpartsonline.com or on Facebook at facebook.com/sewingpartsonline.